Title: I walked into the briefing room, and my wife's father, the SEAL Admiral, smirked. "What's your call sign, Princess?" he asked as the men laughed. I replied, "Reaper Zero." His face went pale. He knew exactly who I was. When I walked into the briefing room, the air was heavy with salt and testosterone. The Navy's elite, SEAL Team 7, sat around the long oak table, arms crossed, grinning like wolves. My uniform was crisp, unmarked by emotion. The Admiral, my father-in-law, leaned back in his chair, that smug, calculating smile barely concealed beneath his rank. "What's your call sign, Princess?" he asked. Laughter broke around the room like surf on rock. I looked him dead in the eye. "Reaper Zero." The laughter stopped. His face drained of color. He knew exactly who I was. That was the first time I'd seen him afraid. And it wouldn't be the last. 2 years earlier, I'd married his daughter, Elise. She was bright, disarming, the kind of woman who made men talk too much and women want to hate her but couldn't. She said I was her anchor. I believed her. Back then, I still thought love meant safety. The Admiral didn't attend the wedding. On deployment, Elise said. But I knew better. He didn't miss missions. He just didn't approve. Said I was beneath the uniform. Too young, too ambitious, too female. Still, I tried. Family dinners, polite small talk, handshakes that felt like contests. He never said it, but his eyes did. "You'll never be one of us." He was wrong. I was better. The first sign came quiet. A misdelivered email on my encrypted work terminal. An intelligence report misrouted to my inbox. A familiar signature. The Admiral's. The attachment was redacted, but the metadata wasn't. Coordinates, operatives, shell corporations. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. The names tied back to private contractors moving classified tech to non-allied buyers. A betrayal buried under layers of bureaucracy. And at the bottom of it, Admiral Stone, my father-in-law. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I remembered Elisa's late nights, the whispered calls, the sudden trips to visit family. It wasn't just him. Grief and rage are close cousins. I didn't cry. I planned. I built my case in silence, piece by piece, bite by bite. Every encrypted transfer, every falsified report, every coded message Elise sent on his behalf. She was his courier, his daughter, his shield. They used me, my clearance, my rank, my loyalty, to keep their network hidden. I made sure they'd regret it. For 6 months, I played the loyal spouse. I smiled at dinners, kissed her goodnight, watched her lock her phone in the bathroom every time it buzzed. I didn't confront. I documented. Every password, every IP address, every unguarded whisper. I had the Navy's counterintelligence unit quietly reassign me under a code name, Reaper Zero. It was supposed to be temporary. It became something else, my weapon. By the time I was done, I had enough to bury them both. But I didn't want quiet justice. I wanted them to feel it, to see their empire collapse from the inside. So I waited. The operation briefing was the perfect stage, a classified room, a full roster of SEAL Command, and him at the head of the table, basking in his power. He thought it was another routine briefing. He thought he was still untouchable. When I walked in, the men didn't recognize me. My records were sealed, my new call sign known only to a few. But he knew. The second I said Reaper Zero, his world tilted. He knew I'd seen the files. The first hit came 30 minutes into the debrief. The live feed on the main screen flickered. Classified financial records, offshore accounts, falsified weapons manifests, broadcasted to every operative in the room. The Admiral stood. "Cut the feed," he barked. No one moved. The base commander turned to me. "What is this?" I met his eyes. "Evidence," I said, "of treason." The admiral lunged for the console. MPs intercepted him before he got halfway. The men he'd commanded for 20 years didn't even look at him as they restrained him. Elise was next. I'd timed her arrival to the minute, called her in under the pretense of a family emergency. When she entered the room and saw her father in cuffs, she froze. I slid a file across the table. "Your communications logs," I said. "You might want to read your part before the press does." Her eyes found mine, wide, desperate. "You wouldn't?" I already did. They revoked his command within the hour. He was charged under the Espionage Act. His assets seized. His reputation obliterated. Elise tried to claim ignorance. She didn't know the Navy already had her fingerprints on encrypted drives, her voice on recorded calls, her signature on falsified clearances. She took a plea deal. She'll spend the next 7 years in a federal facility. He'll die behind bars. The investigation made headlines for months. Operation Phantom Tide, they called it. No one ever mentioned me by name. That was the point. The admiral's legacy was reduced to a cautionary tale. His medals stripped, his portrait removed from the Hall of Honor. The same men who once toasted him refused to speak his name. And me? I was reassigned, quietly, permanently, to black operations. The kind of work that doesn't end up in the papers. The kind of work Reaper Zero was built for. Sometimes I visit the pier where he used to take Elise fishing as a girl. The sea doesn't care about secrets. It just keeps swallowing them. I don't regret what I did. They chose greed. I chose precision. People say revenge is poison. Maybe. But sometimes it's the only antidote for betrayal. When I close my eyes, I can still see the look on his face. The moment the predator realized he'd been hunted all along. He asked me once, mocking, "What's your call sign, princess?" Now he knows. Reaper Zero doesn't forgive. She finishes.